Good afternoon and welcome to the 60th and most heartwarming edition of the No Pain podcast. Today we're welcomed by the director of Paws for Change, Albert. He's going to tell us all about this wonderful animal rescue foundation. How are you doing today, Albert?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're really happy to have you out here. We like all animal lovers in this building. So just to start it easy, what's the origin story and what caused Paws for Change to happen?
Paws for Change formed in 2012 during the summer where Fort McMurray had those massive fires that caused the dislocation of a good part of the city of Fort McMurray.
Great.
A bunch of our founders were involved with animal rescue and saw an opportunity to create an innovative rescue in Alberta that was able to help out with rural communities, with displaced animals and with those animals that are out in rural areas that just don't have access to veterinary care and proper care and support. And that's sort of been our mission ever since then, to help out with rural dogs, help out with those communities that don't have access to vet care, and to support our communities that we're based in with adoptions and with good quality, well taken care of, adjusted pets for their house.
Awesome. Sounds like a lovely place to work at. What is your direct role within this rescue?
So Paws for Change is a 100% volunteer run, so I'm a volunteer director on the board. Okay. And my primary responsibilities are with the CAT program, so anything from intake to vetting and adoption, as well as assisting with the overall intake, so dogs which come in from rural properties and their assessment for safety, and dealing with any and all of the technology concerns with the rescue. Apparently in this century, you just can't run a rescue on paper and spreadsheets like you used to.
That's very true, yes. Well, how long have you been with them then? So when did you decide you wanted to volunteer with Paws for Change?
Oh, I think now it's been about getting on to 4 years that I've been involved, four and a half years with Paws for Change. Yeah.
And were you passionate about rescuing beforehand, or did something directly draw you to them? Or
So it was purely by chance that I started to volunteer with Paws for Change. I was working with a post-secondary institute in Calgary here, and one of my coworkers basically sent me an email saying that Paws for Change was looking for somebody to help out with some fostering and with some updates to some sort of Excel spreadsheet that they were having issues with. So,
tech.
Yeah. So I started talking to them, and we got involved. We sort of fostered our first puppy with them, and we haven't looked back.
Did you actually get, I believe you have a dog of your own. Did you get it from Paws for Change?
Yeah, so one of our dogs is a foster win, we call it. She was adopted from Paws for Change. I was on the transport that went up to Lloydminster to pick her up, and I think within the first 30 minutes of her being in the car, decided that, yeah, this one's probably going to stay with me.
It's like Avatar. You bond for life right in those moments. At least they don't try to kill you before you bond for life like Avatar, though.
Yes, yeah.
What would you find the biggest challenges when it comes to trying to run a rescue?
Well, right now, our biggest challenge is the amount of fosters and volunteers. Being purely volunteer run, we rely upon the goodness and the giving of all of our volunteers and our supporters, whether it's monetary or time. We're in the same situation that a lot of rescue organizations are right now. We are faced with probably the highest volumes of surrender requests and intake requests. Everybody is super tight on space, and trying to find people that can help out and give us space and help us save the animals is probably our biggest challenge this year.
Well, hopefully this will go to the right people and that will look into helping you guys out. Approximately how many dogs do you think you take in every month recently?
So in 2012, we took in about 225 dogs from direct intake, as well as those that came into Paws for Change care. A good percentage of those came in from our rescue communities and went to our partner rescues because we're not big enough to handle that many dogs. So we value those relationships very, very highly because it's the only way that we can do the good work that we do in the communities that we're partnered with.
Awesome. What would you say, you mentioned surrenders. What would you say is the biggest reason that people will surrender their pets to you?
So there's a large number of contributing factors for why people will surrender a dog, right? So with our partner communities, there's a fairly large percentage of oopsie litters. Because they're free roaming dogs, you just get puppies that come unexpectedly. Yeah. So those are typically ones that we get surrender requests. We get a fair number of sort of medical cases where the dog is injured, or there's other complications in the family where they can no longer care for the animals. And then in the cities, the highest driver of surrender requests in the city comes down to a category that I'll basically call COVID pets.
Right, yeah, and those, you have returns, a lot of returns after that, I'd call them, I guess, unfortunately.
Yeah, so organizationally, for those animals that we adopt out, we probably have one of the lowest, what I call return rates in rescue. And that's partially because of how stringent our screening process is and how diligent we are in providing post-adoption support. But we do see a lot of people that have basically bought animals from Kijiji or have adopted from other sources or even from breeders during the height of COVID, when everybody was stuck at home during quarantine, that now they don't have the time or don't have the lifestyle, and they're looking to surrender an animal because it just doesn't fit with the way that they want to live their life, right?
Mind-boggling to me, to say the least. I couldn't imagine getting a new family member and then, no, don't want to talk about it. It makes me so sad to talk about.
It is sad. Carly, sorry to interrupt. We did have a comment slide in, a comment of praise that is from Lindsay Bako. She said, "So thankful for you and Pause for Change and all the good work that you guys do."
Oh,
right.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Go, Lindsay. The reason I thought, what was her name? I thought one of them was Burnett. It's a really weird story. We don't need to get into that. Anyways. Okay. Sorry. She'll know what I'm talking about. You had mentioned you have vets and sponsors. How do you go about finding these vets? Do you approach them? Do they approach you?
It's a combination, right? So we have a really good name out in the community. The vet community in Calgary is pretty small. But we have a good reputation for our standard of care for the animals in our care when they come into rescue. And so we have vets that approach us and say, hey, we like what we've seen. We like the way that you deal with the animals that you have in care. We'd like to partner with you guys, and we would like to provide you with, rescue services so that we can support your mission. There's other times where we have, little clusters of our fosters that have, they sort of group together because people know each other and they foster together, and it makes it easier for dog walking volunteers and that sort of thing. Yeah. And so we might approach a vet in that area to say, hey, we've got a critical mass of volunteers and fosters. Would you be open and interested in partnering with us, because it would just save on wear and tear and driving for the animals that are in our care.
Awesome, yeah. Have you guys ever had like an experience where you have to leave a vet because you're not satisfied with the care they're providing you?
We have, yeah.
Or not you, the animals?
Yes.
Well, it's good that you guys vouch for them in that sense there, because they can't really speak for themselves, unfortunately.
And that's the key thing, right? So the animals that are in our care, they do not have voices. So we are their voices when it comes to, the vet care, the medical care, as well as their forever homes. Mm-hmm. They can give us some nonverbal cues and we'll listen to those. But we as the rescue are their voices to society.
Beautiful people. We appreciate that, obviously. So you guys obviously need a lot of hands to run this whole operation. So what is the typical process of finding a volunteer, and then what is their typical duties, I would say?
Yeah, so we find volunteers through any number of ways, right? So when we have adoption events, people might come up to us and say that they'll want to volunteer, or they'll find us on their website. We'll also try to put postings up on like Volunteer Connector and some of the other websites that you basically promote volunteer opportunities to the greater Calgary or Alberta area. Mm-hmm. And our duties are very, very diverse, right? It depends on what you're looking to do, right? So we have dog walking and dog training sort of team that's forming for anybody that wants to have, direct interaction with the puppies and with the dogs that are in our care. They might go, schedule visits to take some of our dogs out for, half-hour walks, give them some enrichment and play with them, give them some treats, and make sure that they're socialized in a safe manner with other animals, right?
Yeah.
There are other volunteers that will help out with transport, so either picking up donations or taking the dogs and cats to vet appointments, because our volunteers can't always do all the driving on their own, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then fundraising and adoption events, just being ambassadors for us and helping us with, running some of those events. To the real boring volunteer jobs, but also very important, the bookkeeping and just the admin work that comes with government filings, all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we are always looking for volunteers, and our application's up on our website, and we're always looking for folks also to help with social media, because that is the great equalizer for getting our animals out there and publicized and available for adoption.
Yeah.
And videographers, right? People that want to go visit the dogs and cats and capture those cute moments that we can share on social media.
I don't have a camera, but I'll use my iPhone.
Exactly.
Every time I visit them, I get little chasing videos. They love to chew my phone. It's like a toy for them. It's all puppies. So at these adoption events, do you have same-day adoptions, or do people kind of request an application for a specific dog and then the screening process would start, or how does that go?
Yeah, so definitely the latter, right? We're an organization that we will never do a same-day adoption.
Great.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't feel that a same-day adoption gives us the time or the family enough time to be critical about their decision to add a family member. And so we want to make sure that there are the right checks and balances and the right screening and the right process involved before you make that long-term decision to add a family member for up to 15 to 20 years, depending on the age of the dog or the cat that's being adopted.
What does the typical screening process look like? Is there a home visit or some paper quizzes kind of thing? Or
all online these days, but yes, absolutely. Like there is a process involved, right? So it starts with the adopter filling out an adoption form on our website. We'll do a phone screen and make sure that the information is correct and that philosophically it's a good home for the dogs or cats that are in our care. And then we invite the family to come meet the animal, because we're completely foster based. There's a little bit of logistics involved with, making sure that you're in the home where you can meet the dog or the cat that you're interested in. And then typically a home visit where the animal can spend an afternoon or a couple of days in the case of a cat or a kitten to sort of adjust to your space and make sure that everybody is comfortable with that adoption sort of decision, and adding that animal into your household as a permanent addition.
Awesome. Sorry, the question just left my mind. Oh, right. Okay. I was asking, what kind of support do you offer a new animal adopters if 3 months down the road they notice some behavioral issues or anything like that might have slipped under the radar because of the environment?
Yeah, and that's fairly common, because if you take a look at the scientific evidence, right, the decompression time for a dog transferring into a home or in the adoption, you start to see their proper personality come out at 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, right? And so those are sort of trigger times that we watch out for in terms of changes of behavior. And possibly any bad behavior that might need some training support. And so we are one of the few rescues that actually offers a training certificate with the adoption for our dogs.
Awesome.
And so then they have access to puppy classes or positive reinforcement dog training as part of their adoption. And we are very open with an alumni group that a lot of our adopters are part of, so that they can ask questions, informally. If it's something small, let's ask it informally. We can provide that support. If it's something that's more major, then let's get the either cat behavioralist or the dog trainer involved, and let's work through what the challenges are, because we want to make sure that the adoption is successful.
Great. Do these trainers, are they volunteering with you, or are they organizations that train that have offered you those services?
They are organizations that have offered us those services. Typically, we pay them a discounted rescue rate. So it's not volunteer, and it does come at a cost, but we feel that the cost is very worth it because it ensures that those adoptions are successful and ensures a successful integration of the new pet family member with the household.
Awesome. Starting from the beginning of the dogs or the cats' life joining you guys, what does your rehabilitation process look like before you'd even consider putting them up for adoption?
Yeah, and so we do get some what we will consider to be like quite broken animals when they come in from intake, right? So, and that's part of what I'm involved with right from day one when we get the intake requests. We will examine those intake requests quite carefully. Typically, go out and visit with the animal before we commit to the intake. And with that, we'll do a bit of an assessment to see whether the animal is one that is safe for our foster environment to bring in, right?
Yeah.
Animals that are not safe for us to bring in, we can refer to other organizations that have shelter facilities or sanctuary facilities where they are more set up for that, and that's a reasonable diversion. But after they come in, we work with them to basically train them through positive reinforcement methods, help them decompress, give them a safe space, and identify any of their behavioral issues that might need any additional training support and a plan for how to address those behavioral concerns, whether it's separation anxiety, or whether it is chewing or escaping, right? So we get all sorts of different behaviors that might come in.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. When it comes to training, you did mention positive reinforcement. I'm assuming that is the foundation for your guys' training methods. I know there's I know Mike had mentioned the Cesar Millan guy, all his things. Why do you believe that positive reinforcement is what's going to give that dog a long-lasting, healthy mindset?
All right. Yeah, so Pause for Change is philosophically 100% and only positive reinforcement in our training philosophy. All of our training partners are the same, and we do screen our adopters for that philosophy as well. Dog training can be somewhat of a controversial topic. There are a lot of trainers out there that might say that other methods generate quicker results. We philosophically align with positive reinforcement because we believe that the science behind positive reinforcement is sound, and although some of the behavioral modifications and behavioral changes may take longer with only positive reinforcement methods, the science has also shown that positive reinforcement only training tends to stick with dogs better and doesn't create the situation where you might have a ticking time bomb with a dog that might have some hidden triggers that might come up afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's a longer term process. It does require more patience, but philosophically we believe that it gives you a better companion animal at the end of the day and leaves you with a pet or a family member that is not going to have any hidden triggers that might be a risk to yourself or your family in the future. And some of the other training methods that use more adversive means or dominance means do end up with what we call the hidden time bomb and the hidden triggers in your pet.
I was going to say, if you're going around trying to teach your dog you're the alpha and this whole dominating thing, who's to say they're not going to fight back? And you'd fight back too if somebody was always trying to dominate you and alpha you. I don't know what the word would be there.
Exactly.
But no,
right?
I completely get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those. There's this one movie that he wants to show me where this guy has to bite a dog's ear to show him.
Oh, wow.
We would not recommend this method.
Cuba Gooding Jr. in Snow Dogs.
Oh,
It's
yes.
an old early 2000s, but he runs a sled dog pack, and one dog he can't seem to get to follow his commands, and he's just been a pain the whole time. I don't want to give away
I already gave it away.
thing. Well,
Don't watch Snow Dogs.
The dog had a very, very infected tooth the whole time, and that's why the dog was acting so aggressive. But it took him biting that dog in the ear to get him to calm down and relax so that he could inspect the problem. Pulled the tooth, and the dog's personality completely flipped.
Completely changed.
Because
This
he was
is
in
just
pain,
a movie,
right?
though.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. Snow Dogs. That's a good
Would
one.
not work in real life. Well, it's always something like a movie like that would remind you that there might be these underlying issues, like a health concern, or I would say mental health is health as well with dogs. So, too, you can't just yell and hit a health concern out of anybody. So
Exactly right. And that's one of the things that we do right at intake is, if you are seeing behavioral issues, we take them in and make sure that they're vetted and checked quite thoroughly because, there could be underlying pain issues or, tooth issues, like you said, that are causing the behavior to not be the personality of the dog, right? If you're under constant pain, your behavior sure as heck is going to change, right?
Yeah. Well, we actually just recently were going through a behavior change that we're working on with our dog. She never seemed like a jealous dog, but as soon as we got our new one, the jealousy really started to show at dog parks. She didn't want other dogs coming towards us. So that's, I guess, one of those personality things you'd never expect, but all of a sudden, boom, it's there now. Something you got to take care of. So we are addressing that is for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
What is the phrase? So the phrase adopt, don't shop. I know a lot of people use it, but does it have any direct meaning to you, or why would you support that phrase?
Yeah, so we support the phrase adopt, don't shop because, you can see, through all the numbers in all the shelters across all of North America, that there is no end to the surrender and intake requests across all of North America, right? And breeders who are putting dogs up for sale, especially those that are not registered with any of the kennel clubs, are not ethical breeders, they're only exacerbating the existing problem of the number of unwanted dogs that are out in the world right now, right? Yeah. And so we very heavily support adopt, don't shop, because by adopting, you're giving an unwanted dog a second chance at life. You're giving him or her or even an unwanted cat, a chance to run and have a good, proper, caring life. And, combined with that adopt, don't shop philosophy is the, spay and neuter your pets.
Yes.
So then you're not adding another generation to the ongoing mess of unwanted dogs that are out there, taking up shelter spaces or, God forbid, in some of these shelters in the U.S. especially, they're so full on space that they routinely euthanize in order to free up kennels in order to bring in more animals that are surrendered to them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Yeah, I don't believe, do we have a kill shelter here in Calgary or a pound? Ooh, I'm asking this on camera. I really don't know if I want to know now with the face you made. No.
So Alberta is better statistically than a lot of places in the U.S., but unfortunately, with the crisis in unwanted animals, a large number of our shelters have had to euthanize for space as well.
I can see that. Yeah, you can't really put the dogs. Oh, do you guys ever have, this is just a way to adopt specific dogs that you would try adopting, pushing out a little more before you put them on that stage so people would know that this dog doesn't have much time left kind of case?
So we're a rescue foundation that does not euthanize for space. So we are a no-kill organization.
Right. Okay. Yeah, you guys say
good. The only time that we would ever look at euthanizing an animal is due to behavioral concerns. So an animal that can't be safely adopted out to a member of the general public.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I would say health reasons too. I would suppose if it's too bad there. Oh, such a sad topic, that one. Let's turn it to something happier, I guess.
Yeah, let's.
So you mentioned that you had pets. Did you also get your cat from there as well? We haven't really talked about cats too much so far on here.
So I got my cat Pickles.
Pickles. That's
she was abandoned at one of my rental properties.
Oh boy!
And this was before Paws for Change had a cat program, and so she ended up being a permanent resident, and we adopted her. But yeah, she was kind of the cat that made us think about, what's happening with unwanted cats in Alberta, right? And so it wasn't too long after that we started helping out with a cat hoarding situation, and we officially launched our cat program at Pause for Change.
Do you have families that will just foster cats versus dogs, or do they ever do little mixes? Or
yeah, we do have families that will mix and will foster dogs and cats, but for the most part, it tends to be one or the other, right?
Be a little chaotic to have a bunch of little puppies and kittens running around. As much as we'd all love it,
as much as it's cute, and we see those commercials where you have like the little puppies playing with the little kittens, it's just mass chaos.
Yeah, I could see that becoming a mess there. Yeah. Do you find that you guys take in less cats than you do dogs?
We do, yeah.
Yeah, I would see that the behavioral issues are most likely also a lesser thing, or do you find it's kind of balanced there in ratio?
It's fairly balanced, actually. So one of the biggest challenges with cats and cat intake is the fact that, cats, if they're growing up, and especially with how quickly you can basically generationally cycle cats, you can have a new litter of cats and kittens every 4 months.
Oh, boy.
If those cats don't get socialization with people when they're young kittens, they can become feral or semi-feral. And what that basically means is that they're just not used to people. They just don't trust people. And cats are a little bit lower on the food chain when they're not pets. And so they go into prey mode, and they are very scared of people, and they try to defend themselves. And if they're in that sort of behavioral state, they're not suitable to be adopted out as house pets, because they will never trust you. They will never be a loving family member.
Do you guys ever spay and release? If you got a cat that was, we would say, feral there, would you ever potentially just spay it so it can reproduce and let it back out to its roaming? Or
Yeah, so we do that. There have been some community cats that we have supported that way, and we have, spayed and or neutered and then released them back into their community. So, at least we can stop the ongoing generational and cat population increase. And it puts them back into the space where they're comfortable roaming and doing what they're used to doing, because they are not going to be happy stuck in a house as a house pet.
I could see them being good barn cats as well, then, I guess, if you have a lot of mice.
Yeah, some of them could be.
The prey drive.
Yeah, some of the semi-feral ones, absolutely, we have placed as barn cats, and our barn cat program ensures that, the house or the acreage in question has, warm space and supplemental food, and that they're up to date on all their shots, right? And so that is a good life for some of those semi-feral cats that have a high prey drive and just, they could take or leave people interaction.
Yeah, do you guys have like a barn foster person then that kind of has for those barn cats?
We don't really have like a barn foster person. I would love to have a barn foster person. It's
funnier when you say it back to me, that label.
Yeah.
I suppose volunteer might be better.
Yeah, volunteer. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, or even a shop cat volunteer, because if you've got a shop and you've got a mouse problem even in the city, or out in the industrial area, that would be a great housing spot for them. Right now, we have a couple of fosters that basically they have a closed off room so that the cats, the semi-feral cats that are part of our barn program, can feel safe and loved, but they don't have to be forced to interact with people, because that's too stressful for them.
Yeah, I love watching those videos where they get the kitten and eventually it warms up to people, but it's usually when they're very, very young, obviously.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens. Like just last year at about this time, I had a feral cat that came in, wouldn't let me touch him. If I would go into his cage to drop off food, and he was just hissing at me nonstop. But in a span of about 2 weeks, he went from, I don't trust you, to wanting care and affection, to he was my best buddy while I was working at home on Zoom calls, and he would sit on my shoulder and on my desk while we were having meetings, right? And so he flipped very quickly from I don't trust people to I love you guys, you give me food, I'm very happy, and those are very heartwarming stories.
Yeah.
But they don't always end up that way.
Sometimes they just need a little love.
They do.
Is that Pickles, or did that cat go find a better another home there?
No, that cat went. That cat was Gatsby. He was adopted.
Gatsby.
Adopted out, and he's got the best life possible. With I just got some pictures of about a month and a half ago of his new life in his home, and he's just loving life right now.
That's awesome. Do you guys like have a Facebook page where adopters can share pictures of their animals and kind of show you that?
We do, yeah. We've got a Facebook group that's dedicated to our alumni, so both our dog and our cat alumni, and we look for updates, and our foster families and our volunteers love to be on that page because it's so heartwarming to be able to get those updates and those pictures of, you know, the animals living their best life after they've been adopted.
I'm in one of those Facebook groups myself for our rescues, and I'm always a little shy to post, but I love seeing her siblings really have the best lives out there. So what are some steps you think that any animal owner could take to lower the amount of animals that end up abandoned or with rescue, or what you could tell a friend, I guess?
Well, it comes down to really the basics, right? Spay and neuter your animals. Make sure your vaccinations are up to date, right? Mm-hmm. And make sure that you've got, you know, at least some training so that you can, you know, control your family member, your pet, and keep them safe, right? Because, you know, outside of unwanted litters and puppies and kittens, major sources for surrender are, you know, dogs that have behavioral issues because they're not trained properly, or medical issues because either they've gotten into an accident or they've gotten into a fight, the family can't afford the vet bills, and then the vet calls us because the family wants to surrender so that the animal, the dog or cat, can at least have a chance at life as opposed to being euthanized.
Yeah, when they're injured.
Yeah.
Those people are nice. It's really not good when people just put it down because it's out of their bill. Someone else could afford that, I guess.
I've got a quick question, if I may interject. Do you believe that you can teach an old dog new tricks? I only think that only because you mentioned behavioral issues, say with some rescues, or even say if you were to buy a dog from a breeder or what have you. If the dog has had behavioral issues for quite some time, do you think that there's, you know, a period at which they're untrainable? If you want to maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a very complex topic there, and you know, I would defer to our training experts to look to providing more advice on that.
Right.
I'm of the personal opinion, and I'm not a certified trainer, unlike our partners.
Right.
But my personal opinion is that it doesn't matter the age of the animal. You can always teach a dog or a cat new tricks and new behavioral habits. They're very smart. They'll adjust. And if they want to please you, that they will definitely pick up those tips and tricks.
Right.
That's not to say that some of the dogs or cats that come into care haven't had too much trauma.
Yeah.
And so there's a bunch of, you know, extenuating circumstances. We have seen dogs and cats that have come in that have, you know, evidence of human-caused injuries. And some of those are physical injuries. Others are, you know, mental injuries and trauma. Those can be very difficult to, I would say, rehabilitate or teach them new tricks. You may have to, as in people, you may have to walk carefully around some of their triggers until, you know, a balance can be struck for them to be successful in a home, right? And so it's a very complex topic, and some of our dog behavioralists and cat behavioralists would be able to give you a more fulsome answer. But outside of that entire trauma response and triggers, I do believe that a dog or a cat, no matter the age, can certainly pick up new tricks.
Right. I'm like-minded in that. I do appreciate your input, of course. Luckily, the dogs we have running around our house don't exceed a couple years or 2.5 years or so. So
Still crazy.
Still crazy. I mean, in a way that's manageable. They're obviously youthful, but no major behavioral issues, I don't think. But
yeah.
Just thought I would.
Lots of
ask.
zoomies.
Lots of
Yeah.
zoomies, and
Yeah.
they will pick up on your habits because they're smart that way, and sometimes they can pick up unintentional training because of the things that you do, right? So
That's our husky.
yeah,
Sassiest dog. And as the last time I saw you, I think you had mentioned the huskies eating the drywall.
yep.
We didn't know that was common, but when she was a baby, she loved to eat all the drywall off of our
Yeah.
rental. So we're like, we have to pay for this now. What are you doing there? Underside of couches too. Thankfully, the new dog, she does not like chewing on walls. So I would say that's a blessing right there.
Indeed.
Okay, great. I think we can start switching to some more personal questions, unless there's anything else you'd like to touch base on for Pause for Change again.
No, I think that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think we all definitely learned a lot about it.
You know, sorry, Carly, to interrupt once more. Another comment of praise, more specifically for you, Albert, and Pause for Change. This says, Albert and Pause for Change are the best. Thank you for highlighting them. This is coming from Leslie McPherson.
Oh, well, thank you, Leslie.
Yeah. Anyways, I digress.
Well, we'll start with the very serious questions. If you were going to be a dog, what kind of dog would you be?
Yay.
So this is a fun question. This is also very near and dear to my heart. So if I was to be a dog, I would probably be a Shiba Inu.
Oh, those
yeah.
are
I see. Right.
Little red, foxy, but sort of like the cat of dogs, right? And so like they have those behavioral issues and just really, really cute, but they have attitude as if they were a 80-pound husky, right?
yeah, big dog energy.
Exactly. Yep. And if you infringe on my personal space, there's that famous Shiba yip, where it sounds like somebody's killing that dog from like 3 blocks away. Yeah.
I was going to mention the yip, but I was like, I don't want to offend him. So we'll see if he mentions the yip. How about you, Brody? What dog would you be?
Oh, if I were a dog, I think I had recommended you use that question. I didn't even
No,
think
you
of an
didn't.
answer.
That was my question. You
I
said
thought
you
I
should
did.
totally ask that. And I said, I know it's a good question.
I apologize for misremembering.
Trying to
I
take
was
credit for my
I was
great
trying
ideas.
to remember what the question was that I asked you to ask, but I didn't think about it at all. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, probably a shepherd of some sort. Like I mean, I haven't really put too much thought into it, but high energy, I guess medium, larger size. As for, say, individual personality traits between breeds, not something that I'm very, very keen on understanding. Or I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't understand fully.
Because you've always been around our mutts. We
Yeah,
don't like
basic-
have
yeah, essentially, right. I don't have much in the way of knowing, I guess, personality traits between breeds, but I'm kind of based off appearance, I guess, a little bit in this. But
I think you look like a poodle then.
a poodle, sure.
Have you seen your beard? There's
we can
bearded
see-
dogs as
Yeah.
well.
You could say poodle.
Anything with big curly hair.
Yeah, I'm not
Exactly.
sure. Okay, well, Carly, how about you?
Yeah, Carly.
I would say I most like my half husky. Whatever other half she has, it fits me. Both very sassy. We love to backtalk and side-eye people. She
Yeah.
is the queen of side-eye. If you like give her sister a treat in front of her, it's the whole like eyes, arms straight, not directly looking at you. Same thing when she wants your food, stare at your bowl like that. And
Yeah,
that
it's
is me.
funny.
I will stare at your bowl until you give me a bite of your food.
Yeah, it's
So.
funny because she'll sit there and stare at you while you're eating, and when you look towards her, she'll look away right away. You know, just
She's
pretty
like, you can't
Yeah.
see I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
no,
you.
she
I
wasn't-
wasn't doing that. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I would say you're probably more of our new rescue.
Yeah, maybe.
Rambunctious.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Well, everybody in the comments, you should also tell us what dog you would be because I am dying to know. Okay, next question would be, what are you doing when you are not volunteering with the rescue?
Yeah, so my day job does keep me pretty busy, but outside of my day job, because that's boring, that's only dealing with tech stuff.
I was going to say, same techie. Yes,
yeah,
tech.
very, very tech, yes. But outside of day job, when free time permits, I will work on restoring vintage cars and motorcycles and sports cars and working on RV projects with my kids.
Wow.
So that's a little bit of a tinker. And there's always that thrill of being able to fire them up if they haven't been running for a while. Although I do dread carb rebuilds. I've got to do one this summer to get one of the cars up and running, and I might just farm that out to the experts.
You seem like a busy guy. I find like I struggle to find time for my hobbies and I just work. Now you're a full-time job running an animal rescue with people, and you fix cars. Oh my goodness. Well, that is.
I can relate in me trying to start up the chainsaw every time I try to take her out, like trying to get her started in the garage the night before, let it run for an hour to make sure it.
With its dull blade that we never change.
No, I know. I've been trying to sharpen it maybe a little bit too many times, so I should probably just change it.
Time to replace that. Yeah.
It is a pain to cut trees when we're on Crown land. I can tell you that much. Are you an outdoorsy guy?
Yeah. So we'll go camping with the family. We're that family where all of the pets come camping with us, including the cat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I could see Pickles being a camper.
Yeah.
Or do you have to meet him?
We have too many cats for that, and one of which is an outdoor cat. I just fear that it might be difficult to get him back. Hard to say.
Yeah, cat harnesses are a great thing, especially when your daughter takes the cat for a hike.
Oh, see, I wasn't thinking that you were using a harness and a line. That because we could certainly facilitate something like that.
I've tried to put one of my cats in a harness, the one that likes to sneak out, and she'll just like duck and then try and sprint as if she's not on a harness. I don't know how to harness train a cat. That's not something I've experienced. You'll have to give us your tips.
Oh yeah.
So do your dogs and cats get along well? Have they been together since puppies or?
No, so they were slowly introduced over a period of years. So our oldest dog is 8. Our rescue is 2, and Pickles is probably about 3.5. So they all sort of came in at different times. It helps that the old man of the house is quite social.
That's good.
And very accepting of other dogs and fosters, and they all get along. And it's the funniest thing. Our little permanent resident pack sort of looks out for each other and defends themselves against like the new foster puppies or dogs that come in, and they will group together and make sure that the new foster arrival doesn't get out of hand.
The popular kids at school.
Yeah,
that's what they are. Where did the name Pickles come from? Was that you?
No,
kiddos?
So that was the name that the cat had at the rental, and she answered to it. So
okay.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
We had a comment come in answering the question that Carly had prompted. What kind of dog are you?
Okay.
And Leslie McPherson chimed in. She said she would be 100% GSD/Shepherd mix. GSD?
German Shepherd dog.
German Shepherd, right.
Yeah.
German Shepherd /Shepherd mix. I adopted from P4C a year ago. Lily, her name. She's so much fun, goofy, and loves treats and snacks as much as I do.
Well, please also comment photos of your animals if that is possible. So
yeah, we like.
I have something to do after work hours now.
We had another comment come in from Lindsay Bako. She said, "I would be a lab for sure."
I could see that.
That just makes me want to meet all these people.
Yeah.
I'll start assigning them their dog identities. What do you think Mike would be, Brody? Is there any bald dogs?
Oh.
He'd be a hairless dog. No offense, Mike.
What's that wrinkly dog?
The really small one with the patches wrinkles?
Yeah.
That's Mike. Hopefully he's not chiming in today. There you go.
He's on the roof, actually, today, which is why he's not here. He's roofing.
He's working his butt off, and
surprise.
here we are bullying him behind his back. There we go.
Poor guy.
Hey, well.
He's fine. He's tough. He can handle it.
He's a team player. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I know. He definitely wished he could be here. He wants to talk all dogs.
Lindsay Bako said Mike is a golden retriever. He gets distracted by shiny things.
I can see Mike being a big golden retriever. Answer. That's lovely. Yeah, really happy. Yeah, I said my grandpa has the golden retriever. Very excited to see you, but just everywhere at once.
Yeah,
it's like ADHD in a dog, I would say. Is what I see that retrievers has. Okay, great. Well, I've already asked you about your pets there. Brody, do you have any questions to get to know Albert?
Oh, music. What kind of styles are you into? What do you listen to?
So I'm fairly boring as a music guy because it's either whatever's playing on the radio or Pop 40, or if I'm trying to focus and get work done, I'll throw on some classical or jazz, just as good background with a beat to keep focused and drown out any interruptions.
Barks and cats, I assume, with the interruptions.
Barks and cats,
yeah. You just put on animal white noise on YouTube.
Blend it all together.
Yeah, that is a survival tactic that I have an extra screen on my desk that when the cats are in the room with me, it's like, let's throw up the YouTube channel that is cat entertainment, and so the cats sit on that end of the desk so I can work on this side of the desk.
always scared my cat will just launch into the TV. My dog actually sprinted at the TV the other day, watching a movie, and dogs came on. She's never reacted like that, but just went right for it and tried to go behind it. I'm like, they're not there. They're like this big on the screen, so I don't know where you think they're coming from, but it's always cute to see them try and chase things.
Remember Minnie, when we first got Minnie?
Yeah.
It's a black cat.
Yep.
She hopped up on my studio desk and walked behind my 32-inch flat screen and, of course, knocked it over onto the floor. Shattered the flat screen that I had.
The joys of a kitten.
Yeah, that was no good. So, I mean, yeah, animals and TV screens are a little bit scary. It's a bit of an anxiety of ours, we'll say. That reminded me of that time Carly and I got a brand new flat screen, like a 70-inch. And she called me saying, I broke the TV, like I hit it with something. She sold it so well.
I threw my dog's toy at it by accident.
And when I got home, she had like a picture on the flat screen of like a broken screen, and I believed it, and it was funny.
Yeah, he went to go break it. He was like, oh, since it's already broken, and went to go, and I was like, no. Please stop. Yeah, I guess a good way to end your side is, do you have any funny dog, cat stories? Anyone that sticks out to you?
Funny dog and cat stories. That's a tough one.
They're pretty goofy creatures, so there must be something, but it might not be a big one.
Yeah, they are pretty goofy, right? So puppies, I think, are probably the stories that stick out in my mind the most, right? We get a lot of litters of puppies that come in together. And I remember the first time that my daughter, when we went to foster the first time with Paws for Change, there was the beer litter that was at this foster's, and she was swarmed under by, I think it was like 8 puppies. They were all about 10 or 12 pounds each and just little fur balls. And, puppies have those raptor teeth, and they want to want to play. And my daughter at that point was not that big, so it was just the funniest image of, stick arms and legs and little fur balls all on the floor, and that was our introduction to fostering. And she's never looked back, and she always looks forward to any visits that we have with the puppies.
That is worth the pain.
It is.
It is everybody's dream, at least mine, to just be buried in puppies. That's why when we got to come visit the puppies you guys had, I just wanted them all over me all the time.
Well, that's why we keep buying the classic packs from Shell, right? In case we win the lottery, we can just buy an acreage. And
it's actually my mom's biggest dream is to have a just giant acreage and build her own little pet sanctuary, little pet haven. There you go.
I think that's my dream too. We'd love to have an acreage and a sanctuary and have the space for all of these animals to run around. It would just fill my heart with joy.
Yeah, you always see those Facebook pages. That girl, for example, she has like 12 wiener dogs. Love watching those videos. Like, I could not handle it. I don't know how you do, but I guess 12 small dogs would be a little bit easier than 12 big dogs. But enough about me talking about Facebook videos. I think that wraps up our lovely dog talk then today. Thanks again for coming out and giving us the ins and outs of Paws for Change. I do know that anybody who is looking to adopt that we meet with No Pain Roofing will be recommending them to you guys. And if you or anybody you know is interested in adopting or fostering or volunteering or just learning more about Paws for Change, we do have their website here in our bio or description, which Brody will be putting there. They're always looking for those helping hands. So thank you for joining us today, and we will fetch you later.
That was so smooth. Fetch you later. Good one.
Well done.